Alright, good morning, my students. How are you doing? This is just to let you know that there is a topic you need to know this time again. One of the topic is pastor management practice. But before I go into this topic, pastor management practice, I would like to shift your mind back to a topic that I've taught you that says livestock management. Livestock management. Don't forget to say livestock management practices. There is what is called livestock management practices. Different management that are carried out in the farm. Because the farm, we are not dealing with livestock, we are dealing with animals. Now, livestock management, you have some practice that you have carried out there. Don't forget, one of them can be a kind of castration. Don't forget. Then a kind of deworming and the picking like that. Then, but we are talking of pasture management practices now. Some of these things also occur in the farm, but when we are talking of pasture, what is the meaning of pasture? You must be able to know the word pasture since you know what is called management practices. Pasture is an area of land that is set aside, that is covered with different forest plants you are seeing. We have a lot of forest plants, we have a lot of grasses, legumes, all those things you take into our body like vegetables, they are one of the forest plants. But they are not the pasture, but that particular area that you created aside so that the animal can feed upon them. That's why I say an area of land covered with forest crops for feeding livestock. Livestock also known as what is called the animals. Now, or if you don't know how to put it that way, you can as well say is an area of land which forest plants are grown so that the animal can feed upon it. Are grown for animal feed, so that animal can take from it, can take a kind of diet from them always. Then, what is also the meaning of the word called the forest plants? That's why I say forest. It is forest crawler, I say forest plants. They are the plants that are consumed by the animals when they are moving around, maybe through grazing. If they are grazing from one place to another, they are moving from one place to one country to the other, or moving from one place to another, or moving from one town to another. That in form of what's called the nomadic system. That's the kind of forest plant. They are the plants that are consumed by the animal, and they are also can be preserved. Under these forest plants, you can have different kinds of what is called fodder crops. These fodder crops that are forest plants can be in form of hay. What do you understand by the word hay? Hay is a kind of a cultivated plant that you give to the animal directly. You have removed it from the plants. You have removed from a particular place. All those grasses you have cut, you harvest them. You now give them directly in their own house. That feed you give to them, that kind of plant you give to them is called hay. Please don't forget that. I've explained that to you earlier. Then straw, the one you store for future purpose, are called straw. You have cut them. All these forest plants you are trying to cut, you cultivate from your environment. You put them there, some of them aside. You put some of them, you give it to them, you now put them in their pen. This hay is the one you give to them directly after harvesting them. But when you keep this one for future purpose, it's called the straw. We have some dried food. The kind of dried food you give to the animal directly, they are dry, they are not wet. They are in form of all those what's called forest plant as well. These are some of the examples of fodder plant that are called the forest plant. Then from this, in Nigeria now, we only have just two major types of pasture that you should always remember. And this type of pasture are called what is called the natural pasture and artificial pasture. What do you mean by natural pasture? A kind of pasture that is grown in a particular environment naturally, that is grown in anywhere, you can be seeing them here and there. Those pastures are called natural pasture. They are being established, they can be established, they can be in any place. When you see them growing in a particular place and animals are feeding on them, that is called natural pasture. But when they say artificial pasture is the other way of natural pasture. So it's the kind of pasture that is grown by man, so that animal can feed upon them. For example, it can be a kind of pasture establishment. A man can just create a kind of a building or a kind of a fence area, then begin to plant those seedlings and be planting them, so that until they before they harvest them and give to the animal. So once they are growing, animal will begin to feed upon them. You should know that what I've said now, we only have just 2 types. We don't have more than that, please. Then, what are the importance of this pasture, even to Nigerian society? Pasture is very, 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 very important. Yeah, there are a lot of things you should also know. But I only give you these 4 points that you must always consider. In any time you wanted to go out, remember that even when you wanted to go out from a house, if you don't take things to your stomach, how do you satisfy yourself? Some of you will be complaining here, I have not eaten since yesterday, I have not even eaten anything. Remember that pasture are meant for animals, not for you. But some pasture can also be meant for man, that is vegetable. But one of the important is provision of food. Pasture provide food for the animal, maybe through grazing, they're moving here and there, it can get food to eat, so to sustain their to sustain their nutrients. Another point is this: it facilitates soil conservation. What is soil? Remember that soil is the uppermost part of the earth's surface. But when you are talking of soil conservation, it was able to conserve the soil we have, and through what is called the erosion, it was able to prevent some erosion. And don't forget, erosion is washing away of all those tough soils. So this pasture that you have in a place can also facilitate can also conserve the soil by controlling some erosions in a particular environment. Another point that you always remember is this: it prevents wastage of land. Some land that are in other places, that are in different parts of the country now, when we are seeing different kinds of land, if you're able to create a pasture in a particular place, it will prevent that wastage from that land. Then the land will be useful for animals to graze upon as a source of what? For the plants. Then the 4th point that I want you to know is it enhances the soil fertility. What is soil fertility? The soil fertility is the way of improving the soil for the animals, made to know maybe the land is fertile. So, and don't forget, we have different types of soil. That is the sandy soil, the loamy soil, the clay soil. And one of the most important soil is the loamy soil that can be used for agriculture. So it enhances this soil fertility for every animal. So it improves the nutrients of that soil. Also, if you are trying to know the importance, you must also know that how can this pasture be established in Nigeria? Pasture can be established through some of the things, but before you establish a pasture, you must think of some factors you need to consider. Look at it now. Some people are building houses. They have to think of what are the things they put in mind before they start building a house. Yes, one of the major importance is availability of water. So also in pasture establishments, you must go and know that you must create a site selection. Select the kind of site. If you don't have a site, you cannot just go to a land or go to a place and say, yes, you wanted to create your pasture. When you are not doing that, you may be running a scatter because of the kind of trouble yourself. So you have to select sites. So that's called site selection. Yeah. Then another thing is you must think about is removal of debris. What is the meaning of these debris? After you have cleared your land, you have done all sorts of things, you still have some grown plants, all those some weeds in form of weeds that are on the land. You have to remove them so that it will not damage the animal, or maybe through consuming the food, they will be attacked by all these little weeds into their body during the process of digesting the kind of foreign plants. Then the third one I write here is saying supplying. What is the meaning of supplying? Yes, supplying means if you notice that you have a kind of a missing space, this is a kind of a plant now. You have planted some things there. You observe that this is maybe this is A, this is A, this is B, and this is C. You just observe that going there some few days, this thing has been affected or has been removed, maybe through raining or through erosion. You have to replant another one. The process of replanting that plant into a particular place is what is called supplying. So you must consider this for you to establish a very good pasture. Then the fourth one is fertilizer application. After you have selected your land, you have cleared the land, you have removed all those debris, you have do all sorts of things you want to do. You have planted your foreign plants. You have to also want to know what's called fertilizer application. And what is fertilizer? They are the chemical substances you added to the soil to improve the soil. And don't forget, fertilizer can be any kind of organic or inorganic. So if it is organic, it can come in form of all those farmyard manure, like poultry dung, like cow dung. You can place them on it, then spread it, apply it there, so that it will improve the fertility of the soil. Or it can be in form of inorganic, maybe through the process of adding what's called NPK. Some of you may not know what's called NPK. NPK means nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. By maybe a kind of what's called 15 kg, of which Nigeria they used to be adding to the soil in Nigeria to improve our. So these kind of factors we must consider. 1. Site selection. 2. Removal of debris. 3. Supplying. And 4. Fertilizer application. We have a lot of factors you also need to consider. Like I mentioned, water. You can also mention it. You can also include it as one of your pasture establishments. You have to know that about water. Even income, if there is no finance, if there is no income, if there is no money, if the bank does not have money, how can you establish that kind of pasture when it is lacking of finance? So please note this for this week. By next week we are going to proceed from there, but I'm going to give you just a short assignment to take home of which you need to know. Go and tell me just 2 management practices that take place in cattle production. Don't forget, under the livestock production, we have cattle, we have sheep, we have goats, we have pig, we have poultry, and we have rabbits. They are the 6 types. So if they say animal or cattle, but just tell me what are the 2 management practices that take place in cattle production, or like what I've told you so few weeks ago. Please don't forget. Then the second one is what is the difference between natural and artificial. Please put it in what's called tabular form. Just give me the difference between them, just in a short sentence. Thank you.